And let's get going. This episode of Switchcraft is brought to you by patrons like Nico. Well, I don't even know how to say that. I'm just going to say Nico, because I don't want to butcher this person's name. This episode of Switchcraft is brought to you by patrons like Nico. Support Switchcraft and my other content for as little as $1 and get exclusive rewards at patreon.com/runjumpstomp. Name, patron. Thank you, Vaxxer. You're awesome. And we will save project as SC139. Save. Episode 139 of Switchcraft is also brought to you by OP Seat. Use your coupon. Coupon? Use your coupon. Use your coupon. Episode 139 of Switchcraft is also brought to you by OP Seat. Head on over to opseat.com, and once you're there, check out their fantastic gaming chairs. Pick out the one that you want, and then use the coupon code RUNJUMPSIT for $10 off your chair. It also directly supports the stream. Thank you. Nope. It was good, but I don't like that I said the stream, because it's more than just a stream. It's also the podcast and everything else. Episode 139 of Switchcraft is also brought to you by opseat.com. Head on over to opseat.com. Once you're there, pick out your fantastic gaming chair. They're super comfortable. I'm sitting in one right now. And then what you got to do is you got to use the coupon code RUNJUMPSIT. That directly supports my content, and it gets you $10 off your chair. Again, that's opseat.com. Coupon code is RUNJUMPSIT. There we go. Switchcraft is recorded live 3 times a week on 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and normally on Saturdays at whatever time I can get around to it. Unfortunately, I won't be able to record a live episode on Saturday. I've got something, I'll come up with something for you guys for Saturday, but it won't be live, unfortunately. I'm going to be out of town for work. That being said, if you want to hang out and tune in live, just head on over to twitch.tv/runjumpstomp, or you can head over to runjumpstomp.stream and you can watch live there as well. Thank you to the people who come here and hang out each time. We've got Vaxxer, who is clearly a bot, Decor, DJ Windrunner, Aerslia, Lord Beasley, Mr. Dippy, Pudding, Psycho 97433, TF Wagner, who has a birthday today, and Yasi. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Let's hit the news right away. Thanks, Obikulu. Obikulu. Hopefully I said your name all right. And that'll be live. Because I don't think I have any email or anything like that, but I didn't mention it. I screwed that up. I'm going to have to start that over. I'm going to have to do it all over again. Yep. Going to have to start over. Not the whole thing, just that segment. Wait. I did get a tweet. I got a tweet. I forgot. Somebody tweeted at me. Oh, no. They were mentioning me because of one of my other things. All right, never mind. Switchcraft is recorded live 3 times a week at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern on Tuesday, Thursday, and most of the time on Saturday. Except this week, we're not going to be recording live on Saturday. I've got to go out of town for work. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't head over to twitch.tv/runjumpstomp, or you can head over to runjumpstomp.stream and you can watch live there when I am live. Just make sure you hit the follow button so that you get notifications when I go live. Just like these awesome people have. We've got Vaxer in chat, Decor, DJ Windrunner, AR Slia, Lord Beasley, Mr. Dippy, Obi Kulu, Pudding, and TF Wagner, who has a birthday today. And of course, the lurkers as well. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. If you're looking for ways to contribute to the show, you can do so by emailing me at runjumpstomp@gmail.com. You can tweet at me at runjumpstomp on the Twitters. And you can call and leave a voicemail at 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. And of course, head on over and join our Discord over at runjumpstomp.com/Discord. And you can hang out with the whole community there and have lots of fantastic conversations. Maybe even play against somebody in some Rocket League or something. There we go. That was much better. I am confused today, Vaxer. I'm an old man. I can't keep things straight. Yeah, lots of redos. I know, you wanted a good show, but you don't get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. You know what I mean? Let me just get some water here. All right. Square Enix recently tweeted a couple of updates. Actually, it's a YouTube video that I saw through Twitter. And they are talking about Project Octopath Traveler. They said that the game was downloaded, or the demo, I'm sorry, was downloaded over 1 million times. And they received like, I think it was 40,000 pieces of feedback from their survey. And they addressed some of those pieces of feedback, which I think is awesome. I like it when a developer asks the player base what they like, their criticisms of a game, and then they act on that. Now, sometimes it's not good to do that. Sometimes it's good for the developer to follow their own path and not pay attention to what the audience is saying that they want, because a lot of times they just don't know what they want. Like, they think they know what they want, and then when they get it, they're like, wow, this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. You know, for an example that I guess that I would think of, and I haven't done this myself, but for a very long time, people have been clamoring for legacy servers on World of Warcraft, where the game is exactly like it was back when it first came out 12 years ago. And, you know, the developers, Blizzard, they said, oh, you don't want that, because we've made a lot of innovations since then, a lot of things to make gameplay a lot more fun. And people still said that they want it, and Blizzard, you know, they're doing the right thing and they're listening to their player base. And I'm sure that there's a very small number of people who are going to jump on the legacy servers and have an absolute blast. But I think that most people who've been clamoring for it, they are going to log in and then they'll say, well, never mind, this isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be, because they would miss all the improvements that happened to the game over a long period of time. Now, that's just an example of why sometimes I feel like developers shouldn't always listen to their player base, but I like that Square is listening here, and with the updates that we're going to be getting for Project Octopath Traveler when it does eventually come out. First off, they said that you're going to be able to move faster in the game, which I think is really cool. Before, if you had to sprint, you had to hold down B, and then you also had a regular walk. Well, what they did instead is they set it so that if you move the left stick just a little bit, you'll walk. But if you move it the full amount, then your character will run. And then they added a sprint option, like a full sprint that goes even faster than it did before, to the B button, so that you'll move much faster. Now, that's awesome if you want to try and get across you know, a landscape quickly. However, this is really smart of them. Imagine that a game is generated on random numbers usually, and every so many ticks of time, the game would generate a random number, and if it was a certain number, then it would have you go into an encounter with an enemy, like a battle system. You guys have all seen this before, where you walk around on the map, and then suddenly, like in Final Fantasy, it zooms in, and then you're in combat. And it's not because you saw anything on the overworld, it just, your time is now and you have to fight now. Well, you know, Square looked at this and they said, if we make people move faster, then they're going to have less encounters because they'll traverse the same amount of distance in a lower amount of time, and so they won't have as many encounters. So what they did in order to counter that is, if you're holding down the B button, the rate of encounters actually increases, so that you are going to run into the same number of encounters with enemies that you would otherwise. And I think this is really smart of them, because you don't want to, in a JRPG, it's important that you fight often. And if you don't, you won't be powerful enough to take on those bosses that you're going to come up against later on. Let's see. Oh, they said that you can skip cutscenes. So this was one of my biggest gripes with the demo. Was there was at the end of the demo, I played as the dancer, and at the end of the demo, what I ended up doing was I died against the boss, and there was probably a 5-minute conversation with that boss before the combat started, and my previous save, like the previous checkpoint, was before that cutscene. And because the game has pretty difficult combat, when I died, I had to go through that whole thing again. And the quest text, or not the quest, the text speed was really, really slow. So, you know, even spamming the B button or the A button or whatever it is that it advances the text, even doing that, it still took like 4 to 5 minutes in order for all of the text to go by and for me to be able to repeat the fight. So they said that now you can skip cutscenes that you've seen already, and I really like that. And then, you know, I also like this. They added a replay feature, so if you want to watch a cutscene again, you can. In addition to that, they also sped up the rate at which text goes across the screen, or actually, I think they gave you like options to speed it up, which is really good, because I can't stand waiting for text to slowly go across the screen. It's just absolutely, it's one of the worst things in the world. Once I've already read something, unless there's voice acting that goes with it, I usually will hit that button. I don't want to have to wait for the game to decide that I've had long enough to read it. So hopefully not just having text speed up options, but if I just hit a button, it will automatically complete the text, and then I can read it fast and then go to the next thing. That's what I would hope is what they're talking about. I'm not sure if that's exactly what we're going to be getting. They also said that they were working on making battles a little less frustrating. I didn't really think they were too bad. I think I just needed to get good, and that's why I died on that boss battle, mostly because I was just kind of paying attention to the story. I wasn't paying very much attention to the overall the underlying mechanics to it, and I think that's why I ended up losing that boss battle that I was talking about, which I never did beat. I ended up giving up because watching that cutscene 3 times, I've had enough and I was sick of it. So I didn't like that. But of these changes that are, and this isn't all of them, there's also the video you can watch in the show notes. Of these changes, I'm most excited about the fact that you can skip the cutscenes. I think it's fantastic that they've made those changes. Lord Beasley in chat says, I've had the demo downloaded since the moment it announced that it was released. I haven't touched it yet, though, waiting for the right moment to try it out. Heard a lot of good things about it, though. Lord Beasley, there are a lot of good things to say about the game. I will say this. The game looks beautiful. It is wonderful art direction in that game, and I can't wait to play it when it comes out. Now, I will tell you this: if you're listening and you haven't looked at Project Octopath Traveler before, this is not a game for kids. It might have an 8-bit aesthetic to it, but it is a very much a game with adults in mind. Like I played through as the dancer. In the demo, you could play as the dancer or I think it was a warrior. I can't remember because I didn't end up playing that one. But the dancer's story is very, very dark. And it is not a game that is for kids. So make sure that if you've got a young one that's asking for it, make sure you play it first before you let them have a handle on it. It's not kid friendly, in my opinion. There we go. That's off to a good start. Okto. Save. The Balabdis. Oh, they balanced the okay. Balab said they balanced the combat in the dev update. Okay. Oh, you had to grind 3 levels. See, I wasn't going to bother with it because I didn't want to deal with the cutscene again. Like, just having to watch that cutscene again was terrible. It was terrible. Speaking of things that are not for kids, here's another game that I don't think is for kids. In fact, the developer has said this is not a game that is designed for kids. This is for adults. Is Bendy and the Ink Machine, and it is coming to Switch. It's coming to consoles as well as Switch. It'll be same release day for all platforms outside of Steam, which it's already on Steam. If you don't know what this game is, it is a really interesting looking first-person horror game, and it's got an art style that is like, it really reminds me of the time when, if you've ever looked at Cuphead, Cuphead has an art style to it, right? This reminds me of that art style, although it's not exactly the same. And of course, it couldn't be the same because this is a first-person game, whereas Cuphead is a side-scrolling game. And this is a survival horror game, and it looks, I guess, how do I want to put this? It looks safe and benign, but there's lots of jump scares in the game, and I haven't played it yet, but I've watched the footage that I linked in the show notes, as well as well, actually, that's just an announcement. I went out and looked for some footage. And I can see how this is a game that could give kids nightmares. And I don't think that... I like that they're giving me a game that I can play without having to see horrible, disgusting things, but still be scared. One of my favorite experiences of gaming from last year, and I know it's an older game than this, was playing Alien Isolation. And the only thing that I didn't like about Alien Isolation is how gross it was. I just, most horror movies, I really don't like horror movies, not because I don't feel like they do a good job, but just because I don't like gross stuff. And, Alien Isolation, I loved the moment-to-moment gameplay. I loved the way that the game made me feel like I was being hunted, and it was scary, and it made me scream many, many times. And I really had a lot of fun with that game. And Bendy and the Ink Machine is a game that proposes to give me that same feeling that I really enjoyed playing through that game, but without having the added gratuitous violence. So I'm really looking forward to checking this out on the Switch. Well, although I don't know if I'll play it on the Switch or on the PS4, because survival horror games, and I know that I've said before, I want everything on the Switch, but this is the type of game where I just don't feel like having it be portable is something that is important to me. And so I would preferred probably to play it on my PS4 because my PS4 is going to render it at a higher resolution or have a higher frame rate or something like that. That being said, maybe it won't. Maybe the game is, and it looks pretty low impact on power needs. But maybe the game is low impact enough that I don't have to worry about whether it's on the Switch or on the PS4. But it's probably going to be a game that I'll pick up on the PS4 instead, because I don't see myself pulling out the Switch and playing a survival horror game or a jump scare game, like sitting on the couch next to somebody. I would prefer to be up in the nerd nest, which is what we call my studio here, up here in my studio, either streaming it on Twitch or having all the lights off and having my headphones cranked up and, you know, getting me really scared. I like that. Mr. Dippy says there's definitely a line between scary and unnecessary. Yeah, that's the same way that I feel. I feel like that you can convey, you can cause a viewer or a player to have this feeling of dread, of panic, without showing disgusting things on the screen. Like, that is something that can be done. And so I'm really looking forward to it. Now, a game that I need to play that I haven't played yet that is supposed to do this is Hello Neighbor. My son said that that's a really good game. I haven't played it yet. It is another game where it's a survival horror game, but it's not like Gross or anything. You're just trying to sneak into this guy's house and not get caught. And, you know, when he catches you, you know, the music goes, duh, and, you know, it's just, it's all about the atmosphere, and you don't have to be gross with it. Vaxer in chat says the best jump scare in Alien Isolation was when you came into the room and it exploded. There's a clip of that. And that's right. There is a clip of me screaming, and I remember specifically what he's talking about. I ended up taking my headphones off and just sat there for a second, and you could see like there was no, like, the blood had just drained out of my face. I was so scared by that. It was great. I loved it. So here's hoping that Bendy and the Ink Machine can live up to it. Bendy. Save. Hello Neighbor's hilarious. My son loves it. Although he said he was stuck on something. Hey, Captain Logan, what's up, man? All right. Next story. The end of winter is closer than we expected, and we're not ready to release Murphy's Law yet. All right. So if you don't know what Murphy's Law is, it is this really weird third-person competitive shooter. It's 4-on-4, and the way that the game plays is you're on a team and you have like this giant avatar, like a huge, giant, super tall, building-sized avatar. And the enemy team has another super tall avatar. And, you know, whoever's avatar is taller at the end wins. Now, how do you make this super tall avatar taller? By shooting the enemy, which is pretty cool. And if that wasn't enough, they've got this really weird mechanic that is very, very intriguing to me. And it feels like they're taking a cue from Splatoon by taking the normal shooter and completely changing it. Okay? So what happens is, if I am playing Murphy's Law and you're on the other team and I shoot at you, and let's say that I shoot you in the arm. Well, your arm gets smaller and my arm gets bigger. And if then you turn around and you start shooting me in the head, my head will shrink down and yours will get bigger. So as you are damaging the enemy, you are basically stealing mass from the other team. And that mass then also translates to your giant avatar. And the way that this impacts the gameplay is there are abilities that you, well, not the abilities, but like if you have giant legs, you can jump further. If you are really, really small, you can fit into small places and the bigger people can't get to you. And if you're small, you're also a harder target to hit. And if you're big, you're an easy target to hit. And I think that this is a wonderful idea, and I can't wait to play the game. And it is coming to the Switch. But like they said, the end of winter is closer than we expected, and we're not ready to release Morphe's Law yet. They said that maybe they'll have it done ideally in spring, but if it's not great at that point, they're going to continue working until summer. Then they said ideally this summer. I'm sure that they'll probably get it out in 2018 if they're targeting spring and summer. But I really like when developers look at what they have and they say, you know what? The game's not ready. Let's cook it for a little while longer and make sure that we don't give everybody food poisoning. So I can't wait for this game, but I'm going to have to, and that's just going to have to be okay. I'm excited about Morphe's Law. I think it's going to be great. Morphe. Control save. Yeah, I mean, that does depend on it. Exactly, Vaxer. That's exactly right. You know, I could have included the Miyamoto quote, but I figured everybody does that all the time. Everybody always quotes Miyamoto at that point. All right, everybody, get your wallets ready. You've got until February 1st in order to get these deals. So Nintendo currently has an eShop sale going on, which, yes, does happen from time to time, but for the most part, Nintendo games don't go on sale very often. It's usually third-party stuff. So what's on sale? Well, I've got them all right here in front of me. 1-2 Switch, normally $50, you can get for $34.99. ARMS is almost $10 off. Wait, well, it's normally $60. It's $41.99. Same thing with Doom, same exact price. Same thing with Mario plus Rabbids. That's on sale as well. If you want to pick up Super Street Fighter 2 Ultra, that's normally $40. That's down to $27.99. I would recommend that you don't buy Super Street Fighter 2 Ultra. It's a fun game, but with the Street Fighter 2 with the Street Fighter collection, like the 30th anniversary collection, I think you're best off to wait and not pick up the Ultra Street Fighter 2, but that's just my opinion. I bought it. I had fun with it, but I wish I hadn't because the other one's coming out. Flip Wars, which is this weird game where you kind of butt stomp onto these tiles and they flip over in color, and you want to make sure that you get all of the same color or more of your color on the screen than the other team. It looks really interesting, and it's normally $9.99, but it's all the way down to $7. So I think, you know, $7, that's impulse buy territory. That you could go to Starbucks for more than that. FIFA 18, NBA 2K18 are both on sale. FIFA is $40 and NBA is $38. But then you can get the NBA 2K18 Legend Edition for $50, which is normally $100. And I don't understand what this is, but then you can get NBA 2K18 Legend Edition Gold, which is normally $150 for $82.49. Like, how is the game? I mean, I'm just asking, how is the normal game different that much than the Legend Edition Gold? Like, that's crazy. I don't understand, because if the rosters aren't all there in the main one, then I wouldn't play it at all. And I don't know. That just seems bananas to me. Overcooked. Really fun game, multiplayer. I wouldn't get it if you don't have anybody to play with, but Overcooked is really good. Normally 19, all the way down to 16. I'll go real fast for the rest. Xenoblade, or Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is $34.99. Marvel Legends Superheroes 2 is $41.99. 9 Parchments is $16. Just Dance 2018 is $42. WWE 2K18 is $30. I've heard that that game is garbage, though. I haven't played it, but I've heard it's not good, so you might want to avoid that one. Worms WMD, which I mean, I haven't played it, but I love Worms games. That's $4 off, so that's down to 25 bucks. Mantis Burn Racing, I reviewed that game. I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it did anything to pull me back. So I can't recommend it, but if you really like top-down racers, then you'll probably like it way more than I did. That's $15.99. Rive Ultimate Edition is 12 bucks. Wolverblade is 14, and Monopoly, everybody's favorite game, is down to $27.99. I cannot believe that game is on sale for $27.99. That game should be $10 max. I can't believe it. So I will tell you this. There's a lot of good deals here and there's a lot of garbage, but for the most part, I think that if you don't have ARMS, you're missing out. You got to pick that up. If you don't have anywhere else to play Doom, go buy it right away. If you like tactical RPGs, Mario plus Rabbids is really good, even if I didn't particularly love it myself. By all accounts, everybody thinks it's great. And looking at the rest, I'm like, I can probably skip most of these. But, you know, as much as I've heard people talk about Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Xenoverse, that game is intriguing to me. I've got enough to play right now that I'm not likely to pick it up, but that's definitely intriguing to me. Oh, Snipper Clips is great. That should be on this list. Snipper Clips is fantastic. All right. Sale. Save. I'm going to yank the press release. Delete that. Well, you got to be careful, Vaxer. There's 2 Dragon Ball games currently. There's the regular Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which is the one that's on the Switch, and then there's another one which is Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which I was watching a stream of that the other day, and oh my god, that game looks unbelievable. What it really made me want, though, is when I was watching it, it made me want an Avatar The Last Airbender game, like fighting game. Like, that would be fantastic in this format as Dragon Ball Fighter Z. All right. Since the last time I recorded, the only game that I've had a chance to really play other than Darkest Dungeon, which make sure that you check out my review over at youtube.com/runjumpstomp. I'll put a link in the show notes. The only game that I've played other than that is Monster Hunter World on my PS4. I know it's not a Nintendo game, but I just, that's what I've been playing, and I am having a lot of fun with that game. It makes me sad that there's not an equivalent version on the Switch, especially since there is a Monster Hunter game on the Switch. It's Monster Hunter Double Cross, which is actually a port of a 3DS game that they just did not bring over to the West. And I think it's a shame that they didn't bring it over to the North American region. Maybe they'll localize it, maybe they won't. And yeah, I know that the Switch is region free, but I don't read Japanese, and trying to play one of these games it's a very text heavy game, not so much in like conversations and stuff, but lots and lots of menus that you have to read through, and not being able to speak the language is really going to get in the way of enjoying that game. So I hope that they localize that so that people who don't have access to Monster Hunter World on some other platform are able to play it. But if not, maybe the next one will come out for the Switch, especially since the Switch has done so well. I'm really enjoying Monster Hunter World, and I can't wait to play more of it. Hey, Stormtrooper, what's up, man? The $10 Switch tax, that applies to indie devs, in my opinion. Big devs, like huge studios, they can eat the cost for that quote-unquote Switch tax. But, you don't have to... The $10 Switch tax doesn't have to happen on a digital download. Well, I mean, they have warnings for that, Vaxxer. That was gameplay. Save. Two quick lightning round stories. The first is that Detective Pikachu set stuff, like props and stuff, have shown up in London. There's a link in the show notes so you can see what it looks like. And if you didn't know, they're making a live action Detective Pikachu movie starring Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, which is really crazy. But anyway, they've got this big police department for Rhyme City, and I think that's cool. I'm not excited about the movie at all, but the fact that they've got Ryan Reynolds attached to it is going to make me more interested in it. Not because I'm like a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, but I don't think he would like. He's the kind of guy that I feel like wouldn't attach himself to a property that is just bad. Like he seems like the kind of guy that has a pretty good choice in scripts. I've liked most of the stuff that I've seen him in. Not everything, but most of it. The other lightning round story is that there's this game that I have not played, but I've heard of a lot. I've heard about this game called A Night in the Woods, and it is coming to the Switch on February 1st, which is in 2 days from when I'm recording this. And at Finjico, that's Finjico on Twitter, they announced that it's coming out on February 1st, and then they said that it includes the Weird Autumn content, so I guess it's going to have the DLC. It says it also includes the Solstice content, so it looks like it's going to have all of the DLC, which I like it when companies do that. They're under no obligation to do something like that. They could just put the game out as it originally came out and then bring the DLC later to the platform and make a lot more money that way. But I think that, they garner a lot of goodwill from the community by doing that. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that A Night in the Woods is fantastic. So, I'd like to play that game. I'm not sure if I will or not, because it's not something that it's not a game that's like really high on my list of things that I want to play, and I've got so many games to play right now, so I'm gonna wait. Vaxxer says Night in the Woods is amazing. Oh my god, not really for kids, but oh my god, it's so good. Okay, so there's yet another game that's not for kids. Maybe that'll have to make that the title of today's show. Speaking of today's show, that's all the time that we have for today. If there's a story that I missed or a topic that you would like discussed, please let me know at one of the ways that I mentioned at the beginning. If you're looking for ways to support the show, head on over to runjumpstomp.com/support. There's going to be all kinds of links of ways that you can support the show monetarily. If you want to help out the show free, just share the show with a friend. Go to iTunes, give the show a review. I'm going to be only doing like reading the reviews on days when it's really small amounts of news, so I'm not going to do it all the time, but I promise you I personally read every single review that anybody posts, be they good or bad, and I have even made changes to the show based on criticisms that people have given me in the past. Not big changes, but small ones where I'm like, you know what, you make a good point. So your feedback definitely does not go unnoticed. I appreciate it. Other things that I appreciate: Tom Winter, Balloon Trip, Tom Winter and Noteblock for their awesome music. Noteblock does this awesome Balloon Trip remix, which is based on Balloon Fight, which was an NES game made by Satoru Iwata. And Tom Winter, the music you're going to hear in just a second is from Legend of Zelda Gerudo Valley, and he just does acoustic covers, so it's awesome. So make sure you subscribe to those guys on YouTube. Also, make sure you stop by my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/runjumpstomp. I've got all kinds of content that I'm working on over there, and I'm doing my best to try and get more and more content over on YouTube, because I really like the feedback that I've been getting from it. So thank you guys for that. I'm out of here. I will see you next time. Bye-bye. And there we, whoops. And there we go. We did it. We finished another show. I feel like I went blazing fast through that one. Let me see how long it is. Tracks. Align tracks end to end. 30 minutes. There we go. I'm happy with that. Save. And play. Contraband does a dope jazz cover of Silver Surfer, the NES game. The NES game decor, like the Silver Surfer NES game. I remember I was in high school at some point, and I had friends that their parents had this 2-apartment house, and basically the parents lived downstairs and the kids lived upstairs. And so they had this apartment upstairs. It was just my friends and I would always be up there like every day because there was no parents around to bug us. And we would go in the backyard and play basketball for hours and then come upstairs and we would play NES games a lot. And Silver Surfer was one of those games. I never really liked that one, but I remember playing it. And I remember I'd never heard of Silver Surfer because I was never really a comic book guy when I was a kid. So I never knew who he was, and then I saw it and I was like, man, that's a really cool looking character. I wasn't a huge fan of the game myself. Someone put a bounty of $100,000 for the original Contra box. Kill the Chickens 23. Hey man, thanks for coming by. Welcome. I just finished recording, sir. Or ma'am, I'm not prejudging your gender. How's it going? Welcome. It was a super hard game. I don't remember if that's why I didn't like it or not, but that's it could be the reason why I was not a fan. You never know. It was so long ago. All right. Well, let me find somebody to host. I have some things that I got to do. I got to check my son's homework and then take him to Taekwondo and then come back and cook dinner. And let me check my email real quick. Oh, here we go. Yes. Okay. So I just got the email. I'm going to be interviewing Brody Duncanson. He is one of the developers for Super One More Jump, which came out for Nintendo Switch. I'm going to interview him tonight. And then my brain stopped working. Oh, yeah. I'm going to interview him tonight, and that's going to be Saturday's episode because I can't do Saturday's episode live. I'm going to be out of town. And so Brody agreed to come on the show, which is really nice of him because he's all the way over in Australia. So we're doing it tonight at 8 p.m. and it'll be like noon for him. So I'm excited about that because I really liked Super One More Jump. And if you guys haven't picked it up, you should. It's cheap too. I think it's like $7. It's really fun. It's a great game to have on your Switch all the time. Just to, you grab a Joy-Con and it's one button. That's all you got. Just one button. Actually, you can do no buttons if you want. Anyway, if you haven't watched the